All right. I hear it is now 2 o'clock. I hereby call to order the December 11th, 2024 meeting of the City of Prescott General Plan Committee. Board members' presence, please state present when I call your name. Terry Sapio, present. Don Michaelman.
Here.
Tom Davis. He's absent. Okay. Andre Carmen.
Present.
Mary Fredrickson.
Here.
Jim Huffman.
Present.
Rod Moyer. Okay, he's absent or not here yet, one or the other. J.D. Greenberg.
Present.
James McCarver.
Here.
And Tom Riley.
Present.
Okay. Oh, Ralph. I must have skipped over it. Sorry, Ralph. And Ralph. Ralph Hess. Sorry. My finger must have slipped down too.
Yeah,
Names.
that's surprising. I'm here.
Okay, great. All right, so we have Tom Davis absent and also Rod Moyer absent. Okay, city staff members present. We have Tammy DeWitt and George Worley and
Chelsea.
Oh, and Chelsea. Hi, Chelsea. Okay. Walton. City Council, we have Lois Fruworth and Ted Gambogi's down in Phoenix today. This is an open public meeting and is being recorded by the city. The proceedings are being televised by representatives of the public media, and the public, local cable, and/or radio stations may also rebroadcast it. The number of board members present is 9. It will require 5 votes for a majority. All parties wishing to be heard, including committee members, are required to state their name prior to speaking in order to ensure proper recordation. Members of the public are required to state their name and address for the record so that we may know who is speaking and be able to contact them at a later date if necessary. First item on the agenda, 3A, approval of the November 13th, 2024 General Plan Committee meeting minutes. Recommended action is moved to approve the minutes as presented. Do I have a motion?
Tom Riley, I will move to approve.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Don Michaelman. And all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? It passes 9-0. All right. Oh, and we have one more city council member that just arrived. We have Kathy Rusing as well. Item 3B, presentation, review, and discussion regarding comments received during the 60-day public comment period. All right. You want to start us off, Tammy?
Yep. Thank you, Chairman, members of the Commission. Tammy DeWitt, Community Planner. So the 60-day public comment period started on September 23rd. It ended on November 21st. We had the plan in the virtual meeting room that was on our website, the Plan Prescott website, for the public to access and provide comments. We did also get some comments provided via email. Some of those were added into the virtual meeting room at the beginning, but then when we got all kind of overwhelmed. But all the comments that we received via in a virtual meeting room and online are all in your spreadsheet that you have in front of you today. And those comments were tried as much as possible be broken up by chapter to try to help it go, made it a little bit easier to go through. But did the best I can in the 2 days I had to do it. But what we're going to do, there were some questions, like comments that were received that we want to go through with you first, that we weren't really sure how to address them. So we wanted to push that back onto the committee to see how you want to address it, or if it's something we want to address in the plan. So, and I'll go through those. So the first one was on comment 1 on page 1 of your spreadsheet. To add to the Prescott vision, include a thriving and forward-looking community with a strong fiscal responsibility in the management of its assets. So in the beginning of the plan, oh, actually, I have it on slide. Look at that. We have, these are the division statements. So we could either add it to one of these, or we can add another one as a separate one. So anyone have any thoughts about that?
Don.
Don Michaelman. I like the concept, but in reality, that's what the city council does anyway. day-to-day operations. And so I'm not sure it's really needed to be put in as part of the plan.
Okay. Anyone else have any comments about that?
I concur.
Concur?
I agree.
Totally agree.
Does everybody kind of agree with that?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. See, that was easy.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Don't get used to it.
Okay, next one is comment 35 on page 6. So this segment, IMHO, so a lot of this is about energy and electric vehicles that you're going to see, because we didn't really know how to address these. So this segment, IMHO over. Oh, thank you. I was wondering what that meant. Overstresses electric vehicles. Yes, they are an important class of vehicles, but this segment should be tempered. The diversity of fuel sources should be recognized. The full cycle economics of each fuel type and application needs to be at least be mentioned. In particular, it should worry us all that one EV station creates 4 jobs. The basic economic model with this type of assumption should be checked. So, and they're from pages 41 and 42 in the plan. I guess what this was mentioned. So is this something you want us to look into a little bit more? Or we know there might be some changes over this next year in regards to electric vehicles and
Tom?
such. So it might
Well-
change a lot of the.
Electric vehicles are a new thing, they're a new reality, and they're something that I think are appropriate to keep in the general plan. And the level to which we've kept them in there probably means that they're important, and we have important infrastructure set up for them. That's what the general plan is trying to get. And I support that 100%. I think that you'd probably be a good idea to cite your source for the 1 job or 4 jobs for every station that's out there. That would be a good source to cite, just to make sure that it's not, if it's not Wikipedia or Encyclopedia Britannica, those kinds of things. So let's do that. Other than that, I support leaving it pretty much the way it is with checking the source.
Okay. Anyone
Okay,
else?
Tom, actually, on page 41, it is cited. It says, according to research from the Department of Energy. And that's where it comes from.
Yep. Okay.
So, so
Anything else
you're
on that?
saying, do you want to change it
No.
or edit? Okay. Anybody else want to change it? Okay, I think we're good on that one.
We're getting, see?
You're on a roll.
Yep. Okay. So comment 39 on page 6. A smart city planning is in the arid Southwest must consider the availability of resources that support life in the region. Water conservation is essential. Mandate xeric landscaping, increase water use fees, incentivize rainwater harvesting, increase green infrastructure and decrease gray infrastructure, promote natural habitat restoration, limit development growth, and promote sustainable businesses. So we do promote xeriscaping, landscaping in our land development code in our codes. We have increased some water use fees and infrastructure fees. We do incentivize rainwater harvesting right now. If you go to our website, there's a whole website about it. We are in the general plan. We have talked about increasing green infrastructure, so that's addressed. We always promote natural habitat restoration with developments. Limit development growth. We do what we can. That's up to the council. And then promote sustainable businesses. We always try to do that through our economic development. So is there anything in here that we did not address?
No.
I think you got that one covered too.
Okay. These, I'm thinking we're going to get through these. I'm thinking Tom has someplace to be. So, okay. No, okay. Comment 43 on page 7. Kudos for including the climate and energy section in the first chapter, Resiliency and Sustainability. The introduction to that chapter should include some level of definition of what sustainability means. This was an overriding theme in the 2015 general plan. Strategy 3.1 of that chapter speaks to a municipal energy audit. It should be more specific, undertake a municipal energy audit to identify and measure areas of cost savings options within city facilities and operations.
Go ahead, Tom.
Good fiscal responsibility administratively in the city are already doing these things. So I think that for the general plan to say, okay, this is the thing we want you to do is be sustainable, go for green energy, and this is how you're going to do it, A, B, C, D, that's not the 30,000-foot view. And I think that the administration is doing a pretty good job of keeping on top of the things like that. So I don't think there should be any change to the general plan in that regard.
Don?
I think there's a point here about definition of sustainability. And maybe it would be good to have a definition in there so everybody was on the same playing field.
We were going to add in there, in the introduction, it talks about resiliency, but we were going to add sustainability. They were going to add some more words in there to kind of tie it more together for that chapter.
Ralph?
Yeah, Ralph Hess. The 2015 general plan did have a section at the end of the plan that was set forth a glossary and a definition of terms. And we don't have that in this draft. So this point that we have here might be identifying a need for even a broader glossary of terms to include with this draft plan.
Okay.
Is that something that
We can work
you
on.
can work on? Okay.
Yeah.
Also, this comment, besides mentioning definition of resiliency and sustainability, it also mentions undertake a municipal energy audit to identify and measure areas of cost savings options within city facilities and operations. And if you look at strategy 3.1, it doesn't mention, it mentions energy saving opportunities, but it does not mention cost savings. I think we could say identify areas with energy saving and cost saving opportunities. How's that sound?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Everybody good with that? On to the next one.
Okay. Comment 52, page 8. People in many states have community choice energy programs and utility energy options that Arizonans do not have. To promote competition and reduce costs to ratepayers, Arizona needs such programs. Accordingly, in the energy section of this Resiliency and Sustainability chapter, add the following code. The City of Prescott needs to both help promote and ready to take advantage of steps the Arizona legislature takes to study first, then implement community choice energy. I'm thinking that's too broad. I mean, that's not something for a general plan. If they're wanting us to look at something they did.
Yeah. Okay, I have a comment on that, Terry Sapio. I looked up community choice energy, and it, from what I gathered, is communities that have implemented it find that it is cost prohibitive. So I think that we have quite a bit in here for conservation without adopting the community choice energy program.
And if there's something that the legislature looks into, the Arizona legislature, that's something the council can look to in a further date.
Everybody good with that? So we'll leave it the way it is.
Okay. Comment 57, page 9. After page 43, add 2 more EV goals. Strategy 5.2, work with SIMPO to develop a regional EV infrastructure plan to connect major traffic destinations such as the town square, city buildings, educational facilities, shopping destinations, and outdoor attractions. Potential to use open source economic impact tools such as DOE-Jobs EVSC. Then strategy 5.3, encourage the use of federal funding and public-private partnerships to fund installation and management costs of EV charging stations.
Anybody have any comments on it?
I don't have any problem with that. I think that, again, we're a tourist-based economy. It's one of the principal economies. There are a lot of people who are buying, and tourists are people. There are a lot of people out there who are buying EVs, electric vehicles. When they come to town, if they haven't got a place to charge their vehicle, they're not coming back. So I think, yes, this is a good idea.
Okay.
I think that, excuse me, there needs to be a bit of research done on this. The EV wave is kind of subsiding quite a bit. There are a lot of makers that are no longer producing EVs. So I think a tempered sort of position on this, perhaps a bit of a study from the city council or whoever it might be.
That's what it says to do.
Okay,
To work
that's
with
fine.
SIMPO to develop a regional infrastructure plan. So that's the study that needs to happen. So if you want to put the word study in there, then I'm okay with that.
And that might be something that comes out of their regional transportation planning effort that they're just starting right now. Maybe that's something they're looking into. We're not sure.
Yeah, that sounds more like a SIMPO sort of thing.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Over here.
Ralph?
Yeah, Ralph Hess. I see that comment 57 and 58 are related and appears to be probably by the same commentator. And I support both of those, adding those to the goals.
So adding strategy 5.3, 5.2, maybe work with SIMPO to develop a plan. 5.3, then,
We might have to renumber them, but
Yeah.
I support adding both.
and the next one was that review and monitor other Northern Arizona communities' commitment to EV-enabled tourism with the purpose of ensuring Prescott's competitiveness for these valuable tourist resources. So we can add those.
Anybody had any comments on that?
Terry, yes.
You're-
Mary
Mary?
Frederickson. I just agree also that 5.1 and 5.3 as suggested here sounds fine, and 5.2 I would only change to say work with SIMPO to study a regional IV infrastructure plan as opposed to develop. I think it needs to be looked at before we go further into developing a plan.
Everybody good with that? Okay. Next.
Comment 59. So the table was in the plan. Prior to the table, according to the U.S. Department of Energy Alternative Fuels Data Center, Arizona has the 7th highest number of electric cars in the nation. The average income of EV owners is above $100,000. And in-state tourism generates significant income to the Prescott economy, yet we lag behind other northern Arizona cities in providing charging infrastructure for these high-quality tourists. So someone wants us to add that to before that charge.
What, I guess when I looked at this, I said, well, what is this providing for us that is not covered in the other two comments? And we just want to add more words to the general plan? I don't think so. I mean, it's already been pretty much covered.
Okay.
Mary Frederickson, I agree. I think it's unnecessary and almost instantaneously will be out of date.
Any other comments?
Okay.
I think we're good with just leaving it the way it is.
Okay. Okay, comment 165 on page 23. Open space policy, strategy 1.1. Change the term outdoor recreation related to all NGOs involved in outdoor activities, both passive and recreational. Assuming the NGO reference is for non-governmental organization.
Yeah, Jim Huffman, I'm not sure why NGO is specified there. Why is it just not organization rather than non-government? Just open it up.
all recreation.
Mary Frederickson, I agree that I don't think any such change needs to be made. And it does, saying all NGOs makes me a little uneasy. I don't know that all NGOs are worthy of inclusion. But just having outdoor recreation-related organizations seems to be broad enough for me.
Anyone else? I think we're good the way it is.
Okay.
I like the way this is going.
Don't you get used to it.
Comment 171, page 25, Chapter 1, Air Quality Challenges, page 28 states, the circulation element addresses reducing automobile dependence through alternative transportation. Strategy 2.2, expand the scope and connectivity of the city's bicycle, pedestrian, and trail circulation systems by linking existing networks, prioritize schools as hubs in the network to reduce vehicular pickup, drop-off lines, and their associated idling. I know that SIMPO was doing the ACT UP, which was more looking at the walk to school program. So they were already working on some of this.
Sounds to me like the commentator on this one is somebody who picks up their kid from Prescott Middle School, where the lines are huge. So no, I wouldn't change anything. I like the idea of, with Simpo's working it, we're going to be supporting Simpo. We mentioned that a number of times in the plan. I think we're good to go, is my opinion.
Anyone else?
I
Mary
agree.
Frederickson, agree.
Me
Jim?
too. I agree with that.
Anyone else? I think we can leave it the way it is.
Okay. Comment 255, page 36. I think the pedestrian and bicycle circulation section, page 77, including goals and strategies, should be moved to Chapter 2, a community connected. Specifically, I think the pedestrian and bicycle circulation section, including goals and strategies, should be moved to Chapter 2, a community connected. Pedestrian and bicycle facilities are integral parts of our transportation system. They are contemplated and provided for in roadway design and other aspects of transportation planning. Having them listed below recreation in Chapter 3, Great Places Neighborhood, trivializes their importance to our transportation system and does not recognize how vitally important they are to other goals of improving air and water quality, reducing congestion, and improving quality of life. So if you see in the next one, it was put that making neighborhoods more accessible for bicycle and walking to creates great places and neighborhoods. And that's kind of why we had the pedestrian and bicycle circulation is more looking internal to the city to create neighborhoods rather than the transportation is just more regional. So, but we can move it if you guys feel.
Done?
How much are bicycles used to get to work versus bicycle used for exercise, recreation, and so forth?
True.
Okay. When I looked at this on page 77 and 78, the first column on 77 looked like it would be a circulation kind of thing. But then everything else, they're talking about trails and it becomes recreation. So being that this is in great places and neighborhoods and the majority of the section here is about recreation, I'm comfortable with it the way you have it, unless anybody else really thinks it needs to be moved to circulation. Tom?
I don't think you need to move the whole thing to circulation. I think you keep it the way it is, but it certainly would be nice in the circulation plan to mention something about bicycle circulation as related to like Simpo's doing in the ACT UP program and things like that. I think that would be appropriate.
Okay.
Totally agree.
JD?
J.D. Greenberg, I would concur with Tom. I think that not moving this, but putting a section in the other portion as well would be called for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Ralph?
Yeah, Ralph Hess, and that's not unusual. We've got open space in a couple of different sections, and so I agree with Tom and JD. I think putting a reference to satisfy this commentator is appropriate.
Not move the whole section, but add a part of this part of it. Sure.
Sure. Okay. I think we're good, all good on that one.
Okay.
Actually, that takes care of 255 and 256, right?
Yep. Comment 350, page 46. We asked the city to include a statement to support wild and scenic river designation to the Upper Verde River.
Go ahead, Tom.
was going to say, well, that's a council thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the council needs to deal with that.
exactly right.
I don't think the general plan should be dealing with that. If and when it comes time that the council is asked, the city is asked to be able to contribute to that, then the council that's in place at the time that they're asked are the ones who should make that decision.
And I got one more thing on that. The Verde River is not inside the city limits of Prescott, so I don't think it's something that we need to be addressing in the general plan for the city of Prescott.
Mary Frederickson, agree. It's a very nice statement, and I don't disagree with it at all, but it's not for the general plan. And I would say the same thing for the very next comment, 351.
And I agree. 351 is in the same category. Doesn't belong in the general plan.
And then the comment 351 for the public, it talks about changing some of our codes to include bird-friendly glass from the National Glass Association, which is something we can't require. State law kind of prevents us from requiring materials that makes things cost more. So that would be a violation of state law.
Okay.
Plus, a really screwy view.
So I think we're saying that we're all comfortable with no action on 350 and 351.
Okay. Comment 329, page 44. The current major plan amendment is an improvement over what is in the 2015 plan. However, I would like to amend this so that any residential category can become another residential category without a major plan amendment. This facilitates workforce housing. So, we talked about the chart that requires the changes for what a major and minor plan amendment is. This was discussed by the committee and approved on August 21st, 7-0 to 3 dissenting. So there's going to be one change on this chart, but we'll talk about that in a second. But we do have as staff, we do have concerns that in certain areas, like if you go from a low to medium density to a medium to high density, 20 acres is what's triggering a major plan amendment. And 20 acres for infill development is a pretty large site, which we don't really have a lot of infill projects that would trigger that. But in the outlying areas, it could change neighborhoods. So we just wanted to, we talked about the acreages based on the vacant parcels map that we created for you to look at what lands and what zonings are vacant that could be developed and what kind of impact they could have on certain neighborhoods. And that's kind of where we came up with these numbers. They weren't really arbitrary. We actually looked at what we have in this city for vacant that could be developed and kind of looked at what property, what's the size that would actually cause the most impacts to a neighborhood. If you went from like a medium high density or low to medium to a medium to high density, that's a huge change, mostly with 20 acres. You're like doubling the density that could be allowed there. So that's why the 20 acre was kind of the common acreage that we saw that could potentially impact areas. Most of them are 10 acres because that's about the size of the parcels we saw, but what the comment is asking is that when you're changing from one residential area to another residential dense type, not to have any major plan triggers. And we would kind of disagree with that. But we're going to ask you about that.
I'm comfortable with what you have on the chart and triggering it at 20 acres.
Because we had talked about this, we had a specific meeting just for this, and this is what y'all agreed upon, that moving this forward. So we just want to make sure this is our chance to talk about it last time.
Anybody else? Ralph?
Yeah, this is Ralph Hess. What I was recalling from that meeting was that Mike Fan had, who is maybe the chair, I don't know if he's the chair, but he's a member of the Workforce Housing Committee. He'd expressed caution about making sure we didn't create impediments to workforce housing. I don't know whether this does. these acreage thresholds do that. I thought, Tom Riley's familiar probably with this mostly among all of us, probably has the most familiarity with that. And so and Mike Fan did not really give any more specifics other than cautioning us not to put excessive impediments, and didn't describe what that would be. So I don't know. So
So right now we
if
have a 20
everybody's
acre.
okay with this, fine. And if Mike Fan's okay with it and Tom's okay with it, I guess that probably is the correct threshold.
So right now it's a 20 acre that's really going to trigger from one residential to another. So
Just by way of explanation, Tom Riley, just by way of explanation, the idea of infill development is something that comes in probably more dense locations primarily. However, it is possible to have this in an in setting right now. And I think that you're going to find that infill developments are going to be smaller acreage. So I don't want to have an impact whereby we say, okay, 5 acres is going to trigger it, 10 acres is going to trigger it. I don't want to have that impact because I think it would be an impediment. Everything we're going to look at is going to be that. If you're looking at changing from low medium density to medium high density, that's probably going to be in a subdivision someplace that's going to be new, and it's going to be in the outskirts, as you mentioned, Tammy, and it's not something that's going to generally affect workforce housing or affordable housing. So yes, I support keeping it just the way that it is now.
Yeah, Ralph has one other comment. And making it a major amendment, major plan amendment, doesn't prevent it from going forward. It just has a higher level of scrutiny
Yes.
in doing so.
in time. In time, that's their concern was time.
Everybody else comfortable leaving it the way it is? Okay, I think we
Okay,
got that one.
So there is going to be a change though, because we do have this very low density residential, which is less than 1 dwelling unit per acre on the map. Per ARS 9469-A6.069, in applying an open space element or a growth element of a general plan, a municipality shall not designate private land or state trust land as open space, recreation, conservation, or agriculture unless the municipality receives the written consent of the landowner or provides an alternative, economically viable designation in the general plan or zoning ordinance allowing at least 1 residential dwelling unit per acre. So what this is saying is that, first off, we cannot designate any private property or state trust land as open space. And secondly, we have to allow at least 1 dwelling unit per acre. So to fix that and to be in compliance with state law, we got rid of the very low density, which was less than 1 acre. So all the properties that were designated as very low density are now the next one, which was low to medium density, the 1 to 7 dwelling units per acre. So that is mostly taking up on this map. This is North Prescott. So all this, which was Deep Well Ranch and state trust land. And then we added, there's this section right here we added, which is part of the Deep Well Ranch Master Plan. And right here, that is also part of the approved Deep Well Ranch Master Plan we added. Because we did get called out by this by Deep Well Ranch and by the State Land Department. So we fixed that. There was green through here, which was part of Granite Creek. So we had to change that because it's private property. We can't put open space on it. So we took that off. There was bottleneck wash through here that had green on it. We changed that. And then on the southern part of the city, we had some in here, which is still state trust land. So we took all the green open space out of that. This all right here is also state trust land. So we changed that to the low to medium density. Because it was, and then there was a few other private properties we had found throughout the city that are not city owned, are privately owned. We do have some areas that are platted as open space, golf courses and such like that, in Yaupai Hills, Hacienda, and others. Those are designated open space, so those were okay. But the other private properties that are not approved for open space or state trust land, we did change to be in compliance. So we just wanted to bring up that these are changes we made to the map to make sure we're in compliance with state law.
And just to emphasize the point, what this does is allow for negotiation for development of those lands to include open space, but we don't get crosswise with the Arizona revised statutes that say you can't force the designation on a property owner. So were we to annex property or to purchase property for development or for inclusion in open space parks, we would have the ability to negotiate that with a private property owner or to designate it once the city's acquired it as open space. So we haven't tied our hands. What we've just done is not tried to tie the hands of a private property owner, and the state land department is a private property owner for all intents and purposes.
But the other properties that are city-owned are designated as parks or recreational properties. Those all stayed the same, such as the rodeo property. We didn't change that. So those are all still the same. It was just those other, there was a few that we didn't understand why they were green, but they were private property, and then the state trust lands. So we just wanted to make sure to clean up the map while we were looking at it and make sure we're okay with that. Okay, so we got rid of the very low density. So now we have the low to medium, medium to high density, mixed use, commercial employment, and then open space and recreation. So is there any
Does that
other?
change your chart on the major plan amendments?
Well, yeah. So that chart, we will take out just the one, the very low density right here, just that will go away. And then right here, that one too, which,
Okay.
but then
Right.
this will go away.
One other question. So the 5 acre for the commercial employment, does that move over or not?
No, everything
Okay,
else will stay
all
the
right.
same. We'll just take out that one row, column.
Any
Over here.
comments?
Over here. Ralph Hess, I need clarification about what you're going to be taking out of this graph.
Just this very low density, because we won't have very low density anymore on the map, so we're taking that out, this column out.
The whole column's
Yep,
going
the whole
out.
column, and then that row,
I beg your pardon?
The column and then the row.
just for those very low density, but everything else stays the same.
Yeah, the very low density row and the very low density column
Yep,
are both being eliminated from this graph.
yes, because we won't have those will not be on the maps anymore. We got rid of that very low density, and we'll take it out of the general plan, the land use section. And that's to be in compliance with state law. So are there any other comments that we didn't go through that you want to discuss?
I do. And this is actually from an email of the public. On page 3, where the scales are on that page, it says, it reads, ethic of equity and respect for all community members. It should be ethic of equality and respect
So
for
we
all
can see
community
what-
members.
So it's on this, so
Right.
it'd be
Exactly.
on this one. So here, so ethic of equality
Equality.
and respect, okay,
Okay.
okay. Anybody else?
He's not done.
I know.
Yeah, I'll give somebody else a chance. Anybody else have something? I'm going to look up a couple things.
No, all eyes are on you.
Okay. Next one I have. Let me see, comment 170.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Comment 170 on page 24.
On Fridays. About cell towers. So it's a comment about cell towers and.
Right, about cell towers.
About cell towers.
And
Very long comment.
the comment, let me see, the response of it is on page 45. to add the sentence that says more efforts are needed to balance resident concerns and engage the public in decisions regarding construction of cellular facilities. I think that's in addition to what's on page 45.
So basically what this comment says is that basically it's a belief that close proximity, to summarize it, it's a very long comment, that close proximity of cellular facilities to residences negatively impacts property values. Yet recent studies identified good cellular connectivity provides access to public safety services and facilitates home-based work and entertainment, which positively impacts property values. So basically what we put was that it is a common belief that close proximity of cellular facilities to residences negatively impacts property values. Yet recent studies identified good cellular connectivity provides access to, well, that was basically the same thing. So the FCC has identified cellular communications as a vital backbone infrastructure to the country. More efforts are needed to balance resident concerns and engage in public and decisions regarding construction of cellular facilities, since there are also studies that show lack of adequate cell service devalues property values. Staff will update this. So that was just saying this is what it says in there, and that we were going to update it to.
Okay. To add the sentence begins with since there are also?
Yes.
Okay. I'm good with that. Anybody have anything else on that? Okay, we're good.
Well, I'm not following. This is Ralph Hess. I'm not following what we're going to be changing here.
We're just
You're
gonna
talking about
add-
page 45 of the draft?
Yeah, so where it talks about, we were just going to add, so it said that it is common belief that close proximity of cellular facilities to residencies negatively impacts property values. But there's also studies that say that good connectivity provides access, improves property values. So we're just going to reword it to try to address the comment about cell service.
And where's the comment?
On page 24, number 170, the really big long one. Yeah. So we're just going to make sure that it says that there are studies that both say that it increases and decreases property values, because we do see it go both ways. So.
Okay. Okay, I have another one. Comment number 327. That's on page 44.
327? Right?
Okay, then
You
comment.
said comment 327?
Yes, comment 327. And the commenter is suggesting that the general plan text amendments that change existing guiding principles or goals or strategies shall constitute a major plan amendment. And that's not what we have in the major plan amendment section right now. This would add the criteria where any change in goals or strategies would also be a major change of the general plan. And I like it the way it is without changing that.
So in the 2015 general plan, it did say one of the things that constitute a major plan amendment would be general plan text amendments that change existing guiding principles and or goals or strategies. However, text amendments that are simply complementary, illustrative, or otherwise compatible with the existing goals, objectives, and policies are deemed not to be a major plan amendment. So anything that changes it significantly, or the idea of it, would be a major, and we would do that anyways right now. But we usually don't see changes to text in general plans.
Okay, because it's not really necessary since it's not enforceable.
It could be a
Only
goal,
the
it would
land
be a goal
uses.
that just isn't maybe not done, or might alter a little bit based on technology or something, or other
Okay.
theories or ideas.
Tom,
I think it's important to note that, this is going to be a document that's going to be approved by the voters. And I think that the voters should have some confidence that if there's going to be any changes made to a document that they voted on, that they should be included in that and there should be a process to go through. So I think it's important to have that as any substantive change to the plan really needs to go back through a major amendment.
And we had that we would update in the draft to add that language. So that was.
Ralph?
Yeah, this is Ralph Hess. Yeah, the member of the public who suggested this is me. And so I support it. And it's a minor change to the 2015 plan provision that actually included this type of change to be a major amendment. So I support it.
What did the original 2015 say?
General plan text amendments that change existing guiding principles and/or goals or strategies would be a major plan amendment.
So this is essentially the same thing.
Yes.
Okay. Any other comments from okay? James?
Mr. McCarver, just a clarification on 360, 361, talking about links to look at master plans for developments. Just a timeline on that. You said that's going to be set up at some point in the future.
Well, the Deepwell, so 360 was there's no transparency around Deepwell Ranch community plans. It is impossible to find the plans, and when you do, they are outdated and do not match what is being done. So Deepwell Ranch has an approved master plan that projects have to comply with, that we have a copy and is also, I believe, on our website. And it's a whole master plan for itself, just for Deepwell Ranch. And on 361, create direct hyperlinks to neighborhood plans, make a folder on the city website where folks can easily find this. That was a goal that we were going to do anyways after this, so after we finish, but we're going to start working on that sooner because we are getting ready and moving to start to scan things, and we were going to create that anyways on our website. So we were going to do this anyways.
So the commenter implied that there was a change in the plans at Deepwell Ranch that was done without any transparency.
No.
No.
There's no community plans. It's just the Deepwell Ranch master plan.
Yeah.
But all the subdivision plats that come in, anything that comes in Deepwell Ranch master plan has to comply with their master plan.
So other master plans for developments, are they, can they be found on any websites at the moment? Or is that considered public access?
Some can be. Some of those plans can be found. Some of them are older plans that have never actually been scanned. They're not an electronic document yet. That's what Tammy was talking about. One of the things we're working on will be to scan those paper documents into an electronic format so that we can post them on the website.
Okay.
Okay.
So anybody else? Ralph? Or Rod, go ahead.
It sounds like what the commenter said was that they're drawing the conclusion that the plans are outdated because they see something else happening in the subdivision, which does not necessarily mean the plans are outdated.
Yeah. The one was speculated to Deepwell Ranch, but Deepwell Ranch has its own specific master plan that's as big as our land development code. So we make sure it's in compliance, and so does the master plan administrator.
Okay. So I think we're saying this is something we don't need to address.
Correct.
Okay. Anyone else have anything? Ralph?
Yeah, Ralph Hess. Going back to page 3, the suggestion of the comment to change equity to equality, those are two different concepts. So what was the rationale that was supporting the change from equity to equality?
Equity means equal results. Equality means equal opportunity. And you cannot, equity is something that is virtually impossible with the human race. You can't determine that everybody is going to have equal results, equal standard of living, or equal anything. But the opportunity to succeed should be and is equal for everyone.
Yeah, perhaps Ralph Hess again. I don't know if I understand equity to be equal results. I'm kind of reminded, I don't know if it's George Orwell's Animal Farm that I remember the concept of, some animals are, all animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. And I'm always concerned when we're trying to change the concept of equity to equality.
Equity is a fairly new concept that's derived from equality. And the idea is that from equality, everybody should end up the same, and that just doesn't happen in reality.
Yeah. Well, Ralph Hess said, well, perhaps we should be striving for equity. And I support keeping equity.
All right, let's take a vote on it. Equity or equality? Jim?
Which one?
I would go with equality.
Okay. James? Equity. Okay. And Andre?
I would take out both and just put respect, because I don't think either are achievable.
Okay.
Okay, respect.
Mary?
Equality.
Tom?
Whatever Andre said.
Totally different word. Okay. Well,
For page 3, we're looking for equity or equality. What would you prefer, equity or equality?
or respect.
Or Andre says just take it out altogether and put
Whatever
just
he said.
respect. Okay.
Okay.
All right, I'll go with equality. Don?
I agree with Andre. I think respect because,
Okay.
Okay.
Ralph?
Ralph Hess, equity.
Rod?
Equality.
And JD?
Equality.
Okay. So equality 1's 5, equity 2, respect 3.
Okay.
So equality.
All right, so we're going to make it
Equality.
equality and respect. So we got both equality and respect, right?
Oh, we just changed
Because
to
it's in there
equality.
already. It's ethic of equality and respect.
Okay.
So we get them both.
Okay.
All right.
Excuse me, I couldn't find it on page 3. Where is it on page 3?
Oh, it's on page 3 of the general
plan.
plan. It's in,
But we talked about the first comment. Yeah. Okay.
Wrong document.
So before we move forward to the next one, we have some people to speak. We'll start with these first. Kathy Messinger.
Hi. Thanks for hearing what I have to say. Okay. All right. The first thing I'd like to address is affordable housing. Currently, Prescott has 10 affordable housing complexes, 99 Section 8 apartments, and 584 low-income housing units. Applications for affordable housing are available online from multiple sources, including HUD. I have a problem with the affordable housing plan because Prescott is a small town atmosphere, and people have pride in that. They don't want to lose that. And when you look at cluster homes and apartment complexes, we're just building out Prescott to blend into Prescott Valley. We're going to lose that wonderful atmosphere that we all love. And I understand we do need to build. We do need affordable housing. But I think it can be done in a better way. I think single-family homes, some for rentals for affordable housing, and affordable housing for first-time home buyers. But what you're looking at. I don't think our roads can support it. I don't think our water can support it. And I know that the residents would not like it. They don't even want us to widen Granite Trails or build the Sundog Connector. What are they going to think about this? You know, that's my concern. Does it meet what Prescott wants and needs? Second, Vision Zero. I'm familiar with Vision Zero because I've been to Finland and I've seen it and all. And I can't see that happening here. Well, first of all, there's a lot of bicycle riders when you have a Vision Zero type thing. Anyway, seniors don't substitute cars for bicycles. They just don't do that. And this is a majority of our people in our community are seniors. So I can't see that happening. With all the new development that would come in, I can't see the speed limits lowered down to 6 miles an hour, cars being diverted around pedestrians. I can't see how that's going to happen, mostly with all of the tourists that we get coming up here. You know, that I can't see that. I do think that there are ways to divert traffic away from downtown. We definitely need more roads because ours are getting totally overcrowded. But I just can't see Vision Zero solving that issue. And let's see. Basically, that's the problems that I had a problem with when I looked at the general plan. And, well, I'm just going to throw in DEI. You know what? People are people. They're either going to respect you or they aren't. They are who they are. And there's no way that you can change people to be respectful. You know, so, I mean, it's a great philosophy, and it would be wonderful if everyone was that way, but they aren't. So, thank you for your time.
Mel Rube.
Thank you. My name is Mel Roop, 115 High Chaparral, Prescott. I'm glad to be here. I want to compliment this commission for what they're doing. This is one of the most important things you can do for the city of Prescott. A few years ago, I was on the Planning and Zoning Commission, and we had to deal with a lot of subdivisions and projects, large projects that coming through our review. And at the time, I remember thinking, well, I'll be glad when they update the general plan because of some of the things we had to deal with. You know, we have to end up wishing that we could get a better architect for the project or do it ourselves, but a lot of it could be fixed with the general plan. Of course, that's the overall plan. It sets the tone and the appearance and the success of the whole city. So this is a super important project. I'm going to deviate from what I was going to say and ask a question. Unfortunately, my schedule didn't allow me to get real involved with this committee. I'd like to, but I couldn't. And I was wondering so I'm not sure of what you've done to date, but I was wondering, in dealing with this hotel that was denied down in Whiskey Row, I did some research into the general plan and was advised by city staff that the entire perimeter around the quad, or around the area where the courthouse is all zoned the same, which is a hotel zoning which would permit solid hotels all the way around if it's implemented in that way. My question was, did this committee get into looking at specific parcels that are overzoned? Because I believe the city, if you measure the city's commercial with what the needs of commercial are and good planning, I think we're maybe overzoned commercial. But anyway, maybe I'll get in that. I'll talk to him later. I wanted to just drop a couple of ideas. I worked all my life in city planning and project development, and I just wanted to share some of the things we did where I worked before. I was in charge of the general plan development for the city of Irvine in California. And we had a kind of a blank slate. They let us do a lot of things. One of them was hiring consultants. When I went to work for the city, we had a very small planning staff. And I believe that the city of Prescott is understaffed in the planning department, community development. What we did, we filled that gap with consultants. And I read the other day in the paper, someone wrote in on Rants and Raves that the city's spending too much on consultants. I totally disagree. When you have short on staff, you have to fill in with consultants. And I was fortunate I was able to do that. One thing we did in our general plan, we added an urban design element. And I hired a consultant from Pennsylvania that had a national reputation in that regard. So we had an excellent urban design element. And when these projects come through Prescott to the Planning and Zoning Commission, an urban design element would be incredibly useful in many areas, and it overlaps a lot of the other elements in the general plan as well. I don't know what comments you have in your general plan about urban design, but I would strongly say you should stress that. That helps all the staff going forward. And I had 2 transportation engineers on my staff to help coordinate the coordination of land use and transportation planning, and that worked out great. So if you can do that either with staff from another department to combine them or to have consultants that can do that for you, that worked very well. We developed a computer model for future planning that could predict all of the needs for roads in the future based on the general plan, land use, and so forth. Very, very useful. Anyway, I'm probably over 3 minutes, and I apologize for that.
All right, thank you. Much of
Anyways.
what you mentioned, SIMPO is already doing much of what you mentioned.
Good.
So, okay, we have more comments, Tammy? Thank you.
I have comments of what I just said and a few other things that might be useful as you're implementing the general plan, which you're going through that period, and it's going to go forward. That may be helpful. I've got copies here if I can leave them here.
Sure.
To be passed around.
Okay.
That would be great.
So these are your comments for the general plan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Those are my comments, and everything I said is there, plus a few other things that I ran out of time. But thank you
that's
very
okay.
much.
And there's going to be more public comment as this goes on to planning and zoning and the city council, so you'll have more opportunities to make more comments.
Yeah, that's another reason I was trying to be brief.
Sure.
And thank you for what you're doing.
Sure. Thank you.
Rex Hinshaw?
Rex Henshaw, 140 North Montezuma. I'm an architect, land planner, a longtime resident, and the vice president of the Prescott Frontier Days Incorporated. I only put my name down to answer or offer to try and answer any questions that any of you might have with regards to the rodeo grounds property and how it's designated in the general plan. And at this time, with what the tools that you have, I think it's designated correctly. So I don't have anything else to add other than answer any questions if you had any.
Anyone? I think we're good.
Thank you. Thank you for your work.
Thanks.
Michelle Hamer?
Hello, my name's Michelle Hamer, 801 Downer Trail, 86305. I've been a proud resident of Prescott for 20 years, and I previously submitted a 4-page document for your review regarding the general plan and its implications, and now I'd like to share mine personally, face-to-face to you. The Prescott's 10-year general plan, to me, reads less like a land management or a land asset strategy and more like a people management directive. Throughout the document, there's a heavy emphasis on educating residents about why these ideas and these ordinances are needed. While the plan does include some genuinely beneficial initiatives, it also proposes ideas that raise significant concerns to me. Proposals like dark sky compliant, Vision Zero, Tree City designation, affordable housing, and over-regulating our community would ultimately transform Prescott into something resembling a one giant HOA. It doesn't take much research to see that communities implementing these well-meaning strategies often fail to deliver the promised results. Instead, they frequently experience confusion, frustration, and costly unintended consequences. You do recognize that the Prescott's residents are average of 62 years old. That should tell you that we've seen a lifetime of unaffordable housing. That's a fact of life. My parents did. When I left home, I had a hard time finding a place. We helped our children get into the property market, and now we're going to be helping our grandchildren. The folks that are fortunate enough to afford large properties in Prescott started out by saving a large down payment, weathered a lot of market downfalls. We don't have misconceptions about more affordable housing, and for many, we don't have misconceptions about more affordable housing, and for many, their home is their largest asset. We will vote against anything that will devalue this asset and our ways of life, even mean if it votes against the valuable things in your plan. And your plan talks a lot about needing to combat climate change. Because we're all over 62, many of us have lived through decades of warnings about the imminent climate change emergency. Every 10 years, we've been told that disastrous events are just around the corner. We need immediate action, and New York and California are going to be underwater. But if you look, landmarks at Plymouth Rock remain the same sea level they've done since 1620. Here in Prescott, history tells a similar story. In 1900, the hottest day on record was 103 degrees. In 2023, after decades of development, paving, urban heat effect, the hottest day was 104 degrees, a nearly unchanged statistics in over a century. The reality is that so many so-called climate change solutions have done nothing but to enrich the wealthy while placing a greater burden on the poor. The committee didn't have the benefit of knowing the outcome of the recent election when putting this plan together. Had you known, you would have seen that 67% of Yavapai County voted to choose smaller government, fiscal responsibility, and the preservation of personal freedoms. We rejected the needless expenditures and regulations that create more burdens than benefits. Ask any 10-year resident or new arrival to Prescott, and they will share firsthand accounts of how government overregulation, overspending on the greater good have transformed once beloved communities into unrecognizable and undesirable places. So to prevent Prescott from facing the same fate, I urge you to consider three things. Remove pages 78 through 82 of the general plan PDF. These sections risk undermining the very qualities that make Prescott a place that people love to live in and love to visit. Your affordable housing goals and ideas need a lot of work to ensuring that existing residents and assets, to ensure that existing residents' assets, their homes, aren't damaged by trying to fix a problem created by market demand. People moved here because of the housing market. The plan needs a smaller price tag and a stronger focus on revenue-generating land management. For 20 years, councils have called for diverse revenue streams through industry and manufacturing, yet nothing has materialized. I hope you change that. I appreciate your time.
Joanne Ehlers.
Hello, I'm Joanne Ehlers, 2911 East Granite Gardens Drive in Prescott, Arizona. And I want to make a couple of comments back on, would be comments 143, 145, and 146, which reference SIMPO as kind of the overseeing agency on roads, including the ACT UP program, multimodal trails, and so forth. And because SIMPO has recently expanded their mission, and in the last couple weeks, we've had meetings with SIMPO, me meeting the general public, listening to their expanded mission on facilitating discussions on wildlife corridors, trails, open space, and collaborating with agencies like Arizona Game and Fish and the Yavapai County. They're very much in the game, so to speak, of protecting wildlife and their movement. So one of those comments might have been mine about including SIMPO in the paragraphs that speak to wildlife corridors in an equal way to how SIMPO is included in paragraphs that speak to road transportation issues. So I'd like to just reiterate that, but also to say that when I look at the mission statement of SIMPO, which in the comments was referred to as being planned to be looked at, referring to SIMPO's mission to see if what the comment addressed what matched what SIMPO said about itself. It doesn't have anything related in the SIMPO mission, and that's because SIMPO just simply hasn't updated their mission. And so this might be more of an FYI for looking at information perhaps published on the web that's not up to date, that might, I don't know, maybe be appropriate to go directly to the agency to ask them what their plans are, because they're definitely in that realm at this point, but not reflected in the way that they describe themselves. So that is one thing I'd like to say. And if you don't mind, I'd like to add one more idea. And this came up as we were listening to the discussion on the introduction of the general plan concerning ethic, equity, and equality. And I'm suggesting that the word ethic is implying moral implications that might not be appropriate for the general plan language, and suggesting something like standard of fairness or principle of fairness, and eliminate the word ethic and the word equity and equality completely, and rethinking that statement altogether. Thank you for the time.
So we do have other people here that want to speak. So, but I want to ask you first. So you guys have talked about the non-discrimination paragraph many times. We have had a formal meeting where you guys voted on it, the language and how it's moving forward. And you've had other straws type of votes too, and it still keeps moving forward to keep it in. Is this something that this committee wants to talk about again? Or do you want to move it forward as is to the next body to review, to the planning and zoning?
Tammy, I was going to ask the committee, since we've all had the opportunity to read the comments, and there's like 17 pages worth of comments that reference the MLK statement.
We got about 134 comments just for that paragraph.
Okay, so we've all had a chance to read them. Has anyone changed their position on the MLK statement after reading all the comments?
I haven't.
Okay, I don't think anyone has changed their position, so
So we want to move it
I think we'll just move it forward as it is.
Okay. Is there anyone that wants to speak on that topic, the non-discrimination? They are going to move it forward the way it is now to the next body.
Which
to
means it's
review.
going to stay in.
Yes.
And if it's going to come out, it'll be up to city council to decide to take it out.
Yes. Yes.
Ralph.
Yeah, I don't have a comment. Ralph Hess, I don't have a comment on this specific question, but I do want to go back to Ms. Joanne Ohler's comments. Looking at what you had put in as a response to what I think the comments she was referring to is it indicates that you're going to be reviewing the mission statement of SIMPO and update appropriately in response to those comments. And that's related directly to what Ms. Ohlers was just stating. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll be looking at what they're doing. And we're familiar with what they're doing with the expansion, so we can add that appropriately.
And since Ralph brought it up, I think it's appropriate that in the wildlife sections that we include SIMPO.
Yes.
Does everyone else feel comfortable with that as well?
Yes.
Okay. I think we will. Okay. JD.
I would just like to publicly thank SIMPO for the work that they have been doing. Some of us last night attended a presentation, a listening session number 2, at which SIMPO had coordinated with members of Game and Fish, Forest Service, City of Prescott, Town of Prescott Valley, and Town of Chino Valley, and educated the public as to what can be done and what is being done. So I think that utilizing the information that they have in their updated mission statement is well called for.
Okay, I think we had one person that wanted to speak on the non-discrimination paragraph.
I have a lot of information and a little background on this, the whole MLK as it came out. If you remember, I think it was 2 years ago, the Launchpad brought it forward the City Council about the Launchpad having high school kids go out and do a survey. And a lot of the people in this room came to City Council and said, we don't want any part of this, because we knew what was going to happen. It was going to do the same thing that happened down in Mesa, is they went and did the same survey where I did the survey. You cannot help but call this city racist while doing that survey. It's specifically designed to do that. They did it down in Mesa. They did the same kind of survey. They said that the city was racist and put in this non-discrimination ordinance, making the city manager, judge, and jury. They want to get rid of it. And when I had several conversations with the Martin Luther King individuals, I kept coming and saying, look, every city, every county, and the state of Arizona has your ability to go and file a discrimination lawsuit. We don't need this ordinance based on a high school kid's social study experiment. This city is not racist. We don't need that kind of talk, and especially in the city plan. I think we just saw the election that we went through. The people that were called racist, homophobics, and garbage. We don't need that kind of language in any document. This city is wonderful. We've got a lot of wonderful people here. And if somebody has a problem, you have the city, you have the county, and the state. You don't even need a lawyer. Go file a complaint. But please, let's keep that kind of talk out of there. Please reconsider.
James.
Just a question. The last time we addressed this at our last meeting, there was some concern raised by one of the council members that there may be some legal implications, ramifications by including that. Have we got any feedback on that?
No, we're going to move this forward so the city council can address that at their meeting with legal there too. That was what we're saying, to move it forward to the other bodies, and then it could be addressed at the city council with the attorney to give input at that time for that paragraph.
All right. Jim, you look like you have something to say.
Okay, I'm Jim Halbling, 2411 Alberta Way, Prescott. Strongly disagree with the commentary that we just heard a minute ago. And I have a statement that I'm going to read that kind of talks to that, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. The Martin Luther King Peace and Justice Committee strongly disagrees with Councilwoman Kathy Rusing's assertion that the non-discrimination statement included in the general plan is divisive and unnecessary. The statement was devised to give agency to people who we know have been unfairly treated in our city, because members of our committee were among those people. 133 of 247 people responding to a survey taken by our committee indicated they were made to feel unwelcome in Prescott because they can be identified by the characteristics listed by the statement. And more were made known by the public comments posted relative to the introduction section of the plan. We were also recently shocked to learn that the Arizona Serve organization has declined to participate in the MLK Day events because they are fearful of being targeted for violence on MLK Day because it is the same day as the inauguration. So don't tell us that the statement is unnecessary. There's a segment of our population that needs to hear that they are part of the community that the plan represents. So please do not remove the statement that was added to give them a sense of belonging. Now, I want to add that I want to thank the committee for keeping the statement in and for pushing it forward. Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments, Tammy?
No.
Okay, back to the committee.
Okay,
Good.
so are we done with this part?
That's what I'm about to find out. Back to the committee. Does the committee, from what we've heard, actually I do. I have one. The comment that we had on the environment, and I agree that is something that is changing rapidly. And it's changed not only from the recent presidential election, but also science is changing as well. And that takes me back to what constitutes a major change and a minor change in the general plan. If every strategy and goal is going to involve a major change, then all the strategies and goals for the environmental section would also require a major change to the general plan.
If there's any changes, yes.
If there are any changes. Now, granted, it's not really enforceable. Only the land use map is enforceable. But I'm asking the committee one more time: do we want to make every goal and strategy change a major change, or do we want to just leave the definition the way it is?
Didn't we just talk about that and agree to kind of leave things the way they are, and perhaps talk about what the language was?
Yes, Tom, we did. So I'm just asking the committee one more time, in light of the public comment that we received, does anyone want to change their opinion, or are we going to add to the major change the definition that changes to goals and strategies are also major changes? Any comments? Okay. Anybody have any comments on anything else?
I think the Chiefs are doing good.
JD.
I would just like to comment and wish everyone a happy holiday season.
Okay.
We're not done yet.
All right. So.
You're not leaving yet. You're not done yet.
Okay. So yes, I know Tom's always in a hurry to get to dinner or whatever's next. So okay.
So next
what are we?
item on the agenda. Discussion and possible action regarding moving the revised general plan forward to public hearings. So we have
Okay.
a motion.
That's the next
Are there
item
any
on the agenda.
discussion on moving this forward to the rest?
So moved. Tom Riley.
Seconded, J.D. Greenberg.
Okay. All those in favor?
Discussion, please.
Wait, discussion.
Okay, wait. Ralph's got something to say. Go ahead.
Of course. Yeah, Ralph Hess. I'm not in favor of moving this forward yet, because what the plan that we've been working with is the draft that has been on the city website, and we've had 2 meetings discussing what revisions we want to make to that draft before it goes forward to the Planning and Zoning Commission. I personally would like to see the revised plan, the revised draft with all of the revisions that we've discussed. I'd like to see them in the draft before I vote on it, so that I know that what I'm voting on is exactly what's going to be going forward to planning and zoning. Right now, all we know is we have the draft, unrevised, plus all the revisions that we've been discussing over the past 2 meetings. And frankly, I want to see exactly what I'm voting on to send forward to P&Z. And so I would like to see another meeting of this committee between now and January 3rd, I guess, if we want to have the final revised plan that we're going to be sending forward to P&Z, and staff, I guess, want to have it before P&Z on January 9th. Sometime between now and with enough time for P&Z to review it before their January 9th meeting, I'd like to have another committee meeting where we can see exactly what we're sending forward.
So right now, we have a motion on the
Yeah,
floor
we don't need the
to move
applause.
it.
Excuse me for a minute.
Yeah,
I'd like
sure.
to respond to that in discussion. I disagree with Ralph. I don't think we need another meeting. I think, first of all, I trust that staff is going to put things together the way that we had talked about doing that. They're not going to insert their own thoughts and feelings into the process. And if they even did, we're all going to get a copy of that plan before the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. And we, as individual members of the committee, can review that plan to our satisfaction and bring those discussions to the Planning and Zoning Commission if they are needed to be had. So I'm not in favor of doing that.
Okay, Tammy, you were going to say we have a motion and a second. So
To move
is there any
forward.
more discussion on the motion?
And you guys will be getting emails for the agendas. I'm invited to come to the Planning and Zoning Commission and to review the plan to make sure everything's integrated into it.
Okay. And there being no more discussion on the motion?
I have one more comment.
All right, Ralph?
Yeah, Ralph Hess. Another concern I have is that 3 of the members of this committee are also on the Planning and Zoning Commission. When they are reviewing it before the Planning and Zoning Commission, they will be acting in their capacity as commissioners of the Planning and Zoning Commission. However, they will still be members of this committee. And my concern is if I'm going to go and show up at the P&Z Commission, which I'm likely to do, to discuss what concerns I have with their discussion, I'm concerned about open meeting violation because 3 of the members are going to be on the committee. I'm going to be a member of this committee, or perhaps not, to avoid that open meeting concern, open meeting law concern. So, yeah, I still want to be able to see a final, well, I've already made my statement regarding what I want to see.
But are all planning and zoning meetings open to the public? Okay, so
And we can talk to the clerk's office about posting something on the website that there could be a quorum for the general plan committee members to be there.
All right, that
We can
sounds
cover
good.
that like we do with city council members.
Okay. Once again, any more discussion on the motion? Those in favor, raise your hand. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in favor of sending this to planning and zoning. Those opposed? 1, 2 opposed. Any abstentions? Okay.
Could-
JD.
But with this consideration, we will be getting the revised with plenty of
Right.
notice for us to go over it
Sure.
beforehand.
And everybody on the committee is welcome to attend the planning and zoning and the city council meetings, and they'll be properly publicly noticed.
Yeah, so January 9th will be the first Planning and Zoning Commission where it's an introduction of the general plan where we'll be giving them the draft, the update draft at that time. Then the January 30th meeting, we'll discuss it and get comments from the Planning and Zoning Commission, and then either get a vote there or we'll have the February 13th if needed to get a final vote to move it forward. Then we have council for February 25th and then March 11th. And then if we needed, March 25th. In order to keep it on for the August 5th ballot next year, we have to get it approved by city council by March 25th. So then next year, as we're going through that public hearing process, we're going to start the ambassador program where we'll be reaching out to you with the consultants with Kimley Horn to go over the ambassador program on going out and getting support for the general plan. So we'll get some training on general, like make sure the general plan goals and what we want, the big talking points, and then other members of the community who would be interested in becoming an ambassador. We're hoping to have 3 groups. We're going to reach out to the high school students to get their input and their participation in it, to get them involved in local government. This is a great time for them to do that. And then we have the 20 to 60, like the working class, and then the retired and elderly would be a third class. And we'll talk about different topics of interest for each segment and the different places for it to engage people. So that will all come up next year, and we'll reach out to you when we get that started.
Okay. Do you foresee any need for this committee to meet again?
Not at this time.
Okay. Ralph?
Yeah, Ralph Hess. So we will, as a committee, we will never again be meeting to review or comment on anything the Planning and Zoning Commission does. Is that correct, committee members? And, well, it's going to go then to council, and council will make the determination. But as a committee, we will never be looking at this draft again to make any comments regarding P&Z's reaction to
Except for if you wish to make comments at P&Z meetings or city council meetings.
Right, but it's not, this committee is not going to be meeting for that purpose.
Right. You will be encouraged to participate in those future review bodies, the Planning Commission and Council, because of all of your experience developing the plan to the point where it is now. And I'm going to take just a moment to thank you all. This is the third time I've been involved in a general plan here, and you, as a group, have done great. May have started out a little bumpy in times, may have been bumpy along the way at times, but all of them have been. So thank you, really, because what you've got as a draft is a really good draft for the other review bodies to look at. And my guess is there's not going to be a huge amount of change made to it because you've done such a good job.
JD, thanks.
I'm concerned a bit about what you're talking about, Ralph, that this is our last meeting and our last time to officially make comment. However, when I see that there's going to be that ambassador program, I think that might be, we would be eligible to be ambassadors.
Yes.
And so I see that as another means by which we can voice our opinion and lobby for the general plan.
Yeah, to support it, not to make changes.
Right.
Yeah, to support it. Yeah.
Rod?
That time. Yeah.
And as I understand it, there won't be any problem with a quorum of this committee being present at any of the future meetings.
We'll address that with the city clerk's office.
Okay.
Lois.
So on behalf of Ted Gambogi, who's unable to be here today, and myself as your sponsors, I just want to congratulate you all on a job well done. You put so much heart and soul and energy into this. The debate has been extremely lively. You've listened to the public, incorporated what you thought was best to do, and I applaud you all for the amount of work. I've seen a bunch of boards and commissions in this city, and this one has really worked hard, and I appreciate all the effort that you've each put into this. So thank you very much on behalf of the entire City Council.
Anybody else want to make any comments? All right, well, as the chairman, I'm going to make one comment, and that is I really appreciate everybody that's worked so hard in the last 2 years, and everybody, I feel, has strongly felt that they're working for the betterment of Prescott, as it should be. And I appreciate everybody's input. Even when we've disagreed, I still appreciate their input and their dedication. And thank you very much. If there's no other, Tammy?
And the public's input,
And
through the whole
public's,
process, because we have taken in a lot of public input through this whole process and integrated it into the draft. So, we saw a lot of comments come in, but I think we addressed a lot of it already when we created the draft because we listened to the public.
Very
So
much.
I wanted to make sure to reach out.
Greatly appreciate it. And I'm sure the public has noticed that I've not held to the 3-minute rule on public comment because we really do appreciate the public comment. And so I've given everyone as much latitude as possible to express their feelings because it's very important. We need to hear it. So if there's no other comments, thank you all very much. And this meeting is adjourned.